It is main event time. UFC 280. Charles Dobranks Oliveira against Islam Makhachev. Here we go for the now vacant UFC lightweight championship.
Yay,
it is vacant, remember, because Oliveira was stripped of the title at UFC 274 when he failed to make weight by like 0.1 ounce or something like that. Something stupid.
Yeah, some garbage.
So here we go. Charles Oliveira, 33 years old, fighting out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's 5'10" and has 33 victories and 8 defeats, 1 no contest. Of his 33 victories, 9 knockouts, 21 submissions, and only 3 decisions. My man is a finisher. He's been knocked out 4 times. He has been submitted 3 times. He has been on an 11-fight win streak coming into this weekend. 10 of those are finishes. He has fought a who's who, and he has finished a who's who. His last 5 fights, Kevin Lee, guillotine. Tony Ferguson, decision, but he absolutely murked Tony and almost broke his arm. I think he did break his arm. Michael Chandler, TKO. Dustin Poirier, submission. Justin Gaethje, rear naked choke. I mean, he's just murdering everybody. Enter Islam Makhachev. 31-year-old out of Dagestan. He's 5'10". He's 22 victories and only 1 professional loss, which was a knockout. Of his 22 wins, 4 knockouts, 10 submissions, and 8 decisions. He himself, gentlemen, is on a 10-fight win streak coming into this Saturday night. His last 4 victories that I'm going to highlight are Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, Dan Hooker, and Bobby Green. Omar, give us your thoughts, and then give us your pick.
This fight is absolutely wild. The memes for this fight have been fucking A1. I've seen all different kinds, from Charles POV with him right in your face, ready to knee you to oblivion, to Islam in a bathtub with all the Dagestani boys. It has been wild. As far as the matchup specifically is concerned, it's very intriguing. And I say that because Oliveira at one time was specifically that submission guy, right? That guy that if you got down to the ground with him, chances are you ain't getting back up, and he's going to walk away with one of your limbs or your neck or something. But Oliveira has really found in his game how to implement his striking in a really effective and efficient way. And I think, like we were talking about last time, he takes advantage of a lot of kicks, a lot of knees, a lot of movements that for somebody who, on a regular basis does not want to get taken down to the ground, generally won't do as much. But Oliveira doesn't mind. And he utilizes that to take advantage of those moments and those against his opponent. Makhachev, though, is a very skilled striker. He's a very skilled grappler. We've seen him overpower guys inside of the octagon the way that Khabib used to. His team is very, very high on Makhachev. They talk very highly of him, almost like a better Khabib. I like Makhachev. I can't really speak negatively about any of his performances that he's had recently. He's looked extremely dominant, extremely dangerous, a very big problem in the division. But I just think Oliveira has just figured it out. He's found himself. I don't think he needs to worry too much about the guy on the other end of the octagon. I think his game has gotten to the point where he's so comfortable that I think he can adapt on the fly, and we've seen him do that. I trust Oliveira a little bit more. I don't subscribe to the whole Oliveira has tapped before, so how could he have a good ground game? That Khabib mentality shit just doesn't work for me. It doesn't allow for growth. It doesn't allow for guys to make mistakes. It doesn't allow for guys to learn from those mistakes. And I think Oliveira has done that with all of his losses. And I think we've finally gotten a version of Oliveira that is the best. And I truly believe that he's going to walk out of that octagon victorious. And I think he does it in quite devastating fashion. And I think he gives Makhachev his first submission loss. I go with Makhachev, rear naked choke, round 4.
Oliveira, rear naked choke, round 4.
The fuck did I say? Did I say
You
Makhachev?
said Makhachev.
You said Makhachev, bud.
But you meant Oliveira, I could tell.
I meant Oliveira, round 4, rear naked choke.
All right. Love it. Let's go. Odds. The champion is the dog. He is plus 150.
Wow.
Islam is minus 180.
Why?
This is one of the biggest fights in a long time, it feels like, if we're being honest. It's almost making me feel as though we're getting Charles versus Habib, which you guys know was always my dream fight back when Habib was champ. I think it feels like that because of the way they've built it, like the talking between the teams, Khabib talking, them all kind of dismissing Charles. Like, it almost feels like, in a way, Charles is getting that shot at Khabib, at least the shot to, like, shut him up. So I'm into it. I like that storyline. Of course, on the other end, Islam is getting his shot to almost continue the legacy in a way. Same division, same belt and everything. So to the fight, the main point I keep hearing is that, oh, Charles keeps doing this thing where if he gets clipped at all, he goes down. No one wants to follow him down. But in this fight, if Islam drops him, he's going to follow him down. He's not going to be afraid to follow him down there like all these other guys have been. And my counter to that is Islam is knocking Charles down. Like, Islam is not Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje or Michael Chandler. I'm not sure if him knocking down Charles Oliveira is going to be so easy to do. So, yeah, can he take him down? Of course he can. He takes everyone down. Will he be playing a dangerous game? Of course he will. That's what makes it so intriguing. That's why I've always wanted to see Charles and Habib. We get Charles and Islam instead. If Islam ever could just take Charles down and control him, it would be one of the biggest statements we've seen in MMA in a long time, I think. But the jump from a 1-week notice Dan Hooker and a 2-week notice Bobby Green to Charles friggin' Oliveira is light years. Not to mention,
I was going to say, not just really quick, full camp, eyes corrected, Oliveira. Continue.
2020 Oliveira.
2020 Oliveira.
not to mention, I think there's a lot of pressure on Islam. It's in Abu Dhabi. The crowd is going to be behind him. They've had a lot of hype for him over there. His team has already been anointing him as unbeatable. It's a lot. And to be honest, the guy's never really even fought on that big of a stage before. If you look back through his record, like, he's never really been on a stage even remotely like this. Whereas Charles thrives in that now. He loves this. So, frankly, I don't think this is happening for Islam. In fact, I wouldn't even be shocked if this never hits the mat. And obviously I'm a Charles guy. You guys know this, but I think Charles starts so friggin' hot. He walks you down so violently that I think this one may be over before Islam can even drag it down there. I know Islam's one of the least hit fighters in the UFC. So maybe this is bold. I think he gets hit like once per minute, some crazy number like that. Obviously that's factored into because a lot of times he's on top of guys in the wrestling, so that kind of gets skewed. But I think Charles Oliveira is going to knife this guy to bits on the feet. I think he walks out. I think he lands clean on Islam early. A little bit later, he lands clean again. Islam starts to think, what the hell's happening right now? I'm hurt. I'm never really hurt. He shoots a shot that maybe Charles kind of half scrambles out of. They reset. Charles hurts him again. And things just go south for Islam. I think Charles' power is very, very real. You know, Chandler and Gaethje are not guys who get put out easily. Gaethje described Charles' power as something he'd never felt before.
Yes.
And Islam's going to feel it. I will say it is either a TKO or a guillotine that comes after like a desperate last attempt shot from Islam when he's already hurt. But I'm going Charles Oliveira round one finish. And for the sake of the pick, I will say TKO.
Wow.
Holy
my
shit.
God, what a pick. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're talking about Islam Makhachev like he's like an unranked like lightweight.
Dude, did Charles not do this to Justin Gaethje last fight? Same
And
thing I
Poirier
just described?
and Chandler.
What I want to see is whose face looks like what by the beginning of round 2. I want to see whose demeanor changes first, because this is one of those fights where the first round I think is really going to dictate what the rest of that fight is probably going to end up looking like. And when we begin round 2, I want to see who's a little bit more worried than the next.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Charles is very used to and very comfortable with things not going his way.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, fine, I'm going to adjust.
He's also not. He's also very comfortable being the bad guy too. I don't think he gives a shit that people are going to be cheering against him and counting him out and all this other stuff. I think he's way past that at this point because it's not the first time.
Agree. And if things start not to go Islam's way, I'm
We don't
curious how he responds. Curious.
Agreed. One
We
would
don't know,
think
'cause-
that he gets fucked up in that gym, right? I mean, AKA is full of a bunch of animals.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that he's tasted, getting overpowered or getting mauled, especially with Khabib is there as well. But one would imagine, I was talking with Mike about this earlier, that, I always try to train against people who are better than me because I want to reach that level. I want to climb to that level, painfully so. But I would imagine for somebody like Islam, where is the top? Because if he's wrecking everybody left and right, at what point are you getting better, or are you stalling yourself out?
All right, Mike, give it to us.
I have a different take than you guys. I think Oliveira has the check. He has his boxes checked in so many huge ways. He has the check in experience, confidence. I mean, to your point, Mark, I think you're right. I think he clearly is his preference is to come out of the gates super hot. He's going to come out of the gates. He's going to run, basically do like a running jump kick, and let it be sloppy, let it be crazy, let it be a scramble. Makhachev's the opposite, of course, which is partly what makes this matchup so fascinating. Makhachev is a machine. He is an android. He's a cold-blooded robot in there, who is a better striking version of Khabib, who's also a little bit bigger. So I see the fight playing out this way. I think Oliveira charges at him, comes out of the gate like a screaming eagle. Makhachev does duck down just out of what do you say, habit, I guess. Takes down Oliveira. There's scrambles. I don't think that Makhachev lets him up that easily. But yeah, I still have to take Oliveira just because of his experience and his confidence. And the fact that, yeah, kind of similar to Sean O'Malley, that obviously they're very different characters, that, Islam Makhachev's toughest competition to date is a short-notice Dan Hooker. So just on that alone, and the fact that Charles Oliveira has mopped the floor with the elite of lightweight, the Gaethjes, the Poiriers, the Michael Chandlers, the Tony Fergusons, like a real who's who. Obviously, Makhachev is here because we think that he is this good, that he could beat, Charles Oliveira. But I'm going to go with Oliveira. I'm just going to be the biggest fucking wet blanket. I'm going to say Oliveira by decision after 5 rounds.
Goes all 5. Jeez.
I don't know, man. I don't know because he hasn't.
I think the later the fight goes, the more I'm concerned for Oliveira, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, that's my bad pick then.
No, I mean, hey, it could obviously
I'm sticking
happen.
with it.
Dude, have confidence in the picks, man. I think it was Dan Hardy I heard say this line, and I was like, man, if that is not the most perfect description of this fight. He said that Oliveira has 100 ways he can win this fight, and Islam has maybe 2 or 3, and the likelihood of the 100 versus the 2 or 3 is about the same.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Love Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
We did it, boys.
Oh man, we
We
did it.
did. We did.